See, let's see.
All right. Yeah, buddy. How you doing, Miss Berrie? Can you hear me?
Yes.
I mean, everybody is in their office. Do I need to go get in my office? Do I need to do that? Do I need to go see my
normally people be in Zoom calls in their office, but you know what? Do you?
No, that's not how I'm feeling. I've got a lot going on.
I see. I'm hungry, but whatever. I see.
I didn't know you was in on the call out, you know.
2 seconds.
All right.
Well, I'll count down. You already know.
Brother Lenny, what's happening?
Not much. How you doing, bro?
Coolin'.
Oh, hey, y'all scared me. Man, Papa Podcast. Yeah, we are here. Hit the wrong button, and so all of us are live. We are on Facebook. What's free? That's the topic of discussion today. What's free? This is a conversation amongst family. I'll say it like that. This is a conversation amongst family. I have a lot of people who are coming here to chime in today. This is awesome. We have 7 people here. Please excuse what it says down here. It says Papa Podcast. Obviously, I forgot to put that up correctly because it's supposed to say what's free. But hey, don't worry about it. We'll fix that a little bit later while everyone else is talking. So let's go ahead and introduce everybody. So let's see, I'm going to point here. Jeff, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Everybody, I'm Jeff Crosby, branding guy, graphic designer from Greensboro. Happy to be here. Let's just get the conversation popping. Let's see what we're going to talk about.
I'll go to Russ. So Russ.
What's up, everybody? Russell Morgan, Showcase Sports Syndicate. We're going to get into it a little bit tonight.
That's right. All right. So who's next to Russ is Miss Hale.
Hey, I'm Hale Morissette. I'm the regional organizer for Dream Defenders and a clinical social worker.
Excellent. So who's under me right now is... She's under me. Are you?
I think that's you, Sister Berry.
Okay, everybody's screen is different, so I'm not.
Right.
Sorry.
No promise.
Yes. Good evening. My name is Shaketa Berrie. I'm an attorney here in Greensboro, North Carolina. I'm actually a public defender. And I know you are an educated group, but some people listening or watching might be wondering, yes, all public defenders in the state of North Carolina are attorneys. I pass the same bar as everybody else. I am a criminal defense attorney. I just happen to work for the public defender. I'm an assistant public defender. I'm also the sister of that grinning fool right there, Ronald Brooks. That's my buddy, my brother. We actually have the same mother. That's my brother. And I am nobody's community organizer or, civic leader or whatever, but I do know a little something about something. So I'm excited for this conversation.
Excellent. Ron, you already were introduced, so go ahead.
Ron Brooks, I'm just a concerned citizen living in the city of Greensboro, North Carolina.
Excellent.
Looking forward to this conversation.
Excellent. And then I think the last person we have on the panel is... Wait, he's this way?
Lenny Glover. Hey, I'm Lenny Glover. I live here in Greensboro. I own a small consulting firm doing information security and risk management, mostly outside of Greensboro, actually, so all over the globe.
There you go. Hey, It is stacked in here tonight. It is stacked in here. It is stacked. So we're going to get into it. Like I said, I'm not going to really be over this. What I'm going to do is some of the production work. I might chime in a little bit, but Russell Morgan is the one who is going to make sure that this conversation goes off.
I'm the one with all the notes.
He got it. He got it. He already knows what's up. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to him. I'm going to cut in and out every once in a while, trying to fix some things. And hey, what's free? It's a conversation. We're going to talk about today's society and what's happening right now. Take it away, Russ.
No doubt. So good evening, everybody. So what got us here today? Showcase Sports Syndicate, along with Promises Organization, the NC Future Sports, in collaboration with the Winston-Salem Wolves, professional basketball team out of the East Coast Basketball League, have come together to create the Juneteenth Classic, which is a virtual horse-style shooting basketball competition. We named it the Juneteenth Classic just out of celebration for Juneteenth. And so leading up to the Classic, which is Friday, 19th, which is Juneteenth, we just wanted to take some pauses along the way to inform, celebrate, question, converse about things that are relative to folks in our community. We did a podcast promising our last week, which was What's Free, which we thought was a perfect question when we're talking about Juneteenth, being that Juneteenth was that day that essentially everybody that had formerly been enslaved was made aware that they were no longer enslaved, and it was the first day that they could actually conceptualize the idea of being free in this country. That's been, over 150 years ago, and what we're talking about today is what was that free? Are we there? How far away are we? Is it possible? All those types of things. Good evening to our esteemed panel, Brother Jeff, Sister Hale, Sister Shaketa, Brother Ron, Brother Lenny, and thank y'all for taking your time out this evening. I've had conversation with most of y'all. If I haven't, I know enough about you to know that you're bringing something to this conversation. So we're going to get into it. So just to kind of give us some parameters of where to go, and we might end up way in East Bumble somewhere, but I want to start off by just asking, and I'm going to go in the order kind of that I can see you guys on the screen, and then I might go backwards, and I might go in alphabetical order, but I'm going to just say your name and kind of put it to you. But I want to ask each person, when you think about the idea of being free or freedom, what do you think that means, right? 2, do you right now today consider yourself to be free? Brother Jeff, let's start with you. Let's see what you got to say.
Freedom. I heard Asada Shakur one time say, you're asking me about freedom, but I think a better question would be to ask me what freedom isn't and what it is. I think that with my life and most of the lives that we have lived, man, I think that we're still trying to define what free is. We're still trying to figure out what free is because we've lived our lives mentally, spiritually, and physically feeling like we're under a gun most of the time. It's hard to think for yourself because you're inundated. Everything's just always in your face so much. You got social media, you got television, you got teachers, you got parents, you got friends. Everyone wants to tell you what to think at all times. Spiritually free, the same deal. You always have someone telling you how to be instead of allowing you to just be. They're always telling you what you should be and how you should be and what your spirituality and what God should mean to you. Physically, same deal. If you try to go against the grain and eat differently, then you are labeled as something's wrong with you or you're crazy, especially in the South. About 20 years ago, I went vegan. I'm not vegan right now, but I went vegan, and being in the South and trying to be vegan was just a rough thing to do. Like I said, I'm not that right now, but just trying to do it in the South, it was just a hard thing to do because someone was always telling me that I was crazy, I was thinking wrong, and all this kind of stuff like that. So I've learned that to me, to be free is just to do what makes you happy at all times. Is to be what makes you happy at all times. Is to think what makes you happy at all times. And that's some hard shit to do right now. It's just, so it's a lot easier probably to define what freedom isn't than what it is to me. Because it's so hard to be free, and it's hard to even define what being free is right now,
Sister Hale, you look like you chomping at the bit. You look like you muted. Unmute yourself, and you can either kind of go with your own thoughts, from scratch, or just kind of pick up where Jeff left off. But we're talking about being free, the idea of it, whether or not you are or feel like you are.
Talking about freedom is one of my favorite things, right? We actually, as Dream Defenders, our Northern Star, what we use in order to guide our values, is called the Freedom Papers, where we talk about being free from poverty, being free from war, environmental destruction, being free to just be, freedom from police and prisons. So when I really think about like what freedom is, there's this thing called a freedom question that I like to ask people all the time, where it's like, who could you be or who would you be if you didn't have to worry about money anymore, right? I feel like a lot of times what ends up holding us down in our communities is the access to resources. So access to resources, I feel like, fuels what freedom really is. If I don't have those resources, if I am in a position right now at the moment where I'm living the life that I want to live every day, which is to be able to serve and be with people, be with my people specifically, whereas someone else isn't able to have that same thing. And I really believe that if none of us are free, if even one of us aren't free, then all of us can't possibly be free. So until it's all of us, no, I don't think I'm free. Not yet, but we're working towards it. So, and that freedom is more than just tangible things. It's definitely in the mind and it's in the arts. So, yeah.
Lenny, your thoughts, brother?
Whether I think I'm free or what freedom means to me. So, I don't know, my answer may be complex, but I'll give it anyway. So, I think that I am free. Do I think that my people are free? We are free collectively? No. I am free because of the way that I think that I think. So my freedom in my mindset is that I am capable. I have God-given talents. I have health. I have means and capacity to do things. In the place that I am, if you'd have asked me this question when I was 20, I would be like, no, we're not free. We're oppressed and we're a lot of different things. Fortunately, from the type of work that I do, I've probably traveled to 40 different countries. And it gave me a different perspective on what freedom is sometimes versus what circumstances are. So when I think of, like, I'll give examples, not to single any particular country out, but like India, right? So when I'm in India, I might be working with a bunch of engineers and I think they're the nicest guys and we hang out and we'll go to lunch and then they will turn into these monsters to me. I'm like, they're yelling at the waiter, they're screaming, they're, this isn't right. Go back, make the temperature 5 degrees hotter. And I'm like, what is happening here? Like, what just happened? And from my perspective, from the outside, it was, y'all all are from India, y'all all Indian. But from their perspective on the inside, it wasn't necessarily a light skin, dark skin thing. It was, we're from the North and they're from the South. And that by itself divided those people just on I'm better than you because I'm from the North. So it was a weird kind of complex. And then we, during the same thing, they were talking about two different people that worked there. And they were saying that they were dating. And they were like, oh, we need to make a decision on who we're going to keep when this has conflict. And I was like, well, how do you know it has conflict? They was like, well, she's from the South and she's never going to be accepted by his family, who is from the North. Therefore, so I left. I was gone 4 months. I came back. He was married to somebody completely different. And they were like, yeah, his family would never stand for him dating. So when I think of racism and freedom and all those things, I think that we live in America. So in our own bubble, in our own circumstance, of course, we see a lot of things that might make us think that it's not freedom. But I would say, with all of its problems, I think that we do have some freedom to make some moves. There's a system that is set to oppress us, of course. But I think that there are people who do get to navigate through that system. It doesn't make you not black. It doesn't make you not in the system that you're in. But you do have some ability to move, where I've been places where it's difficult to move, is more difficult. And it's not just based on race and slavery. So I think that's why I say my answer is complicated. So I think I am free. Well, I think I'm free because I think freely. I think I'm God's child. And I also think that because we live in America and because we've done so much. Can you guys still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. The Zoom meeting gave a notice. But because I think we live in America and we, are not focused, we struggle with the challenges that, being former slavery and dealing with the oppressive system that we're in. I think we see that, but I think that I also understand that, yeah, I can still navigate. So I feel free because I think any black person that is here is deserving of everything that America has, whether they give it to you or not. So anything that I get, any benefit, any blessing on this soil, I feel like my people put blood in it. So I've deserved the best of the best that is here. Just, not anybody owes me anything, but if I get it, I deserve it. All right, I'm done. I know I went long.
Attorney Berrie, you look like you dying to jump in.
Actually, I was enjoying everybody's answers, and I'm going through and looking, and a lot of what I agree with, a lot of what's already been said, but because I do drink from the wealth of keeping myself educated and keeping myself on the intellectual side when I can, because also I can be a little sophisticated ratchet at times. But freedom itself, the actual term freedom is a noun. It says the power to or right to act, speak, think, or want without hindrance or resistance. And but before I read that, what I wrote as you asked the question is I wrote in big letters, choice. Freedom is choice. And then I wrote in parentheses, but not without consequences, right? So for me, what is freedom? I would say freedom is choice. Do I consider myself free? It depends on what we're speaking about. Because like Ms. Hale says, I don't have access to all of the resources that I want to have to make the choices that I would make for myself in this life at this moment, right? So in the sense of, can I vote? Yeah, I have the freedom to vote, right? Am I incarcerated? No. So I have freedom of movement. I have a United States passport, so I can go all over the world, and I have been as well as Lenny, But am I free in some of the spaces that I'm in currently with the aspirations and goals that my family has in mind for me, and I'm starting to realize for myself? Am I free? Can I make the choice without consequence to say exactly what's on my mind at all times?
I can't really hear you.
No. So the freedom of my mind right now, I don't necessarily feel that. And it even hurts me to say it because I never thought I would be in that place. But I'm looking at the bigger picture and where I can be of the most use. And sometimes I guess I am using my freedom to say, you know what, well, let's hold that back for right now. you know.
So I don't know
But I don't necessarily feel free right now. But freedom, I would say, holistically, is having choices.
Brother Brooks, round us out on that first topic.
Yeah, so how I feel about the question is, the first thing, am I free?
All right, but
I'm as free as I can be.
On my phone, because I was looking at just.
You know what I'm saying? I'm as free as I'm allowed to be.
I'm like 5 minutes.
Would be my answer to that.
Online.
What is freedom?
So I don't know. I'm so sorry.
The reason why I would say that I'm free is because nobody has.
But I heard you back.
Nobody can put limits on my thoughts. Even though people may try, but nobody can put limits on my thoughts. Nobody can put limits on my hope. You understand? And as long as I have hope, that's what makes me feel free, because I recognize that things that have been made to look as if it matters, it doesn't. And a lot of things that have been made to look like it matters, people break their neck. We spend our time chasing after and putting high up on our agendas to attend to. But then what I found out is the things that matter the most in this life, we have the control over. We've always had the control over. We have to be tricked to give it away. So like when I think, am I free? Yeah, I'm free. I'm free. I'm free to make decisions for myself based off of my surroundings, based off of my options. I think we are only as free as the options that we have. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like the moment that I allow someone to feel like they can bind my growth, that's what will mean I'm not free. I don't know if y'all follow what I'm trying to say. It's like, that's what lets me know I'm free, because nobody holds me back. I'm the only one that can do it. And I feel like we've given way too much credit to people, you know what I'm saying? To people versus what we can do ourselves, because it's like, just because somebody paints me as an image, that does not mean that I'm of that image. I have to accept that label. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, I found myself telling people all the time, you should recognize that we give away a lot of power. You see what I'm saying? We give away a lot of power. You have it. You already have the power. You see what I'm saying? It's like you already have the freedom. We give the freedom away for, a lack of a better term, we give it away for worldly things. It's kind of weird. It's weird the space that I see, us in. It's weird the space that I see us in now as a people, because the reality is we're just recognizing who we actually are and the power that we actually hold. I have conversations with people all the time that lead to numbers, you know what I'm saying, as percentages, and that's important. But the reality is, as a people, we still have a lot of power. We still are very free. We're free in religion to really recognize, what you see and what your morals align with. So I feel like that's what defines what I see as my freedom. You know what I mean? It's people, you can lock me in a cage and I'm going to still feel free in my mind. I'm going to still feel free to dream. You can strip me of all the things that I've been blessed with in life, and I'm still going to feel free because I've been given a chance to know those things. So I think freedom is a mindset. You know what I'm saying? I say all of that to say you're as free as you see yourself. You could be bound by chains and still be free. You get what I'm saying? You could be beat, you could be scarred and still see yourself as beautiful. So it's like, well, that's what I tell to the people around me. You make yourself the slave. You have to accept it. You see what I'm saying? And I think it's a mindset. And I think that it's easy to slip into when all that you have in front of you makes you believe that you're less than. But it's funny how the same people that we say, if we start using, materialistic things to determine whether someone's free, or the fact that you can travel or you have access to things determines whether you're free. It's funny because all of us are a part of the same system, no matter where we stand on the totem pole. You get what I'm saying? So in actuality, nobody's really free because you could be a multi-million-dollar man. You're not free to walk in my projects at night. You know what I'm saying? It's weird. It's weird how you look at it. You know what I'm saying? It's funny what freedom can mean so many different things. And again, yeah, I think it goes back to it's all in the mind. I think freedom is what you tell yourself it is. It's people that think that they're free that's not free, and it's people that's free that think that they're slaves. You know what I'm saying? So it's all in your mind. It's all in how you view yourself. Your circumstances don't even have to change. It's all in how you see it, how you see what you're in. I hope y'all can follow what I'm trying to say.
We're with you. And I knew that with this cast of people right here, y'all were just going to throw all my little notes out the window because we going in a whole nother place. Because what I'm hearing from everybody in their own way and from their own perspective and based on their own experiences, that as an individual, there's a freedom that they feel that is more inside of them. There's a lack of freedom that they feel maybe from outside. So like just to kind of maybe tighten the screws a little bit, when we look at what it is that is going on, top page news every day, certainly for the past few weeks, you know, it is clear that in communities and cities across the country, you know, there is a rising tide of discontent that is being voiced. Probably one of the loudest pitches in quite a number of years. So, and I'm gonna start off with Sister Hale, and just remind everybody we're like 30 minutes in, right? We've literally asked one question. So, you know, we're not gonna cut anybody off. Everybody's thoughts are important. Just keep in mind that I'm getting older. I can't stay up all night fooling with y'all. We do have a time limit. But when you look at what's going on, what is it from your perspective that we are actually, what are we fighting for at this point? If you could sit down with whomever you think it matters and say, hey, these are the things, this is why we're fighting. These are the things that we want right now. And just know that the next question is going to be, okay, what are your ideas about how we go about pushing that conversation forward? So, Sister Hale, what are we fighting for? What are we asking for right now? How do we go about getting it? In 3 minutes.
Oh, I don't even need that much. I listen better. I think we're just fighting in general for a new world. I think people are reimagining something totally new that doesn't include the oppressive forces that we've had to deal with this whole time throughout all of our lives. I think that's what it is. People are starting to see. People are actually talking about abolishing the police. This was a concept that when I brought it up to other folks, they were like, you're out your mind. But now folks are like, yeah, take their money away. We can have safe communities with each other. I think we're just fighting for a whole new world right now.
Jeff. I think Jeff's muted, promise.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Better. All right, I totally agree with her that we're just fighting for a new world. I think that everybody is just sick of America and what it's been. You know, for the whole time that we've been here, we've been forced to pledge allegiance to a flag that was made when we weren't considered humans. We've been made to stand up for a song that was made when we weren't considered humans. And we have to fight against this other flag that's always been there, that was raised to keep us as not being humans. So it's like, I think we're just sick of we're just sick of it all. I think I agree with her 100%. We're just fighting for something new. We're fighting for a new world. I know personally that's what I'm fighting for. I think it's time to throw it all away. Let's just hit the reset button. Let's start over, man. I think we need new political parties. I think we need a new flag, a new song. I think we need a lot of that stuff just brand new. It's time to throw it all away. Let's hit the reset button.
Brooks.
I'm gonna keep it real short and sweet. I think that we're fighting for an equal shot. I think that over the last couple of days, we've heard a lot of people make demands about, what will make our country better. But I feel like at the end of the day, I just want a fair shot. I want a fair shot to enjoy life. I want a fair shot at peace. I want to feel safe just like everybody else. And we've been pushed so far to where enough is enough. And now it's like, this is the moment. This is that moment to be recognized as the same man as the man that sits across from me. You understand what I'm saying? Give me a fair shot. Give me the same tools and let me prove that I can make something of myself. And I feel like this time, this is now. This is the time to help folks realize that we're not slow. You know what I'm saying? We're not lazy. It's a lot of labels that have been put out there, that have been put on my people. And it's just not the case. I want a fair shot. You know what I mean? And if that means, I think that's exactly what we're fighting for. We're fighting for an overhaul of this whole system that we've had to figure out how to thrive in all of this time. But at the end of the day, it hasn't been fair from Jump Street. And I feel like that's what's going on now. Tear it down and let's rebuild it. Let's all come together as a collective group, as a body, as one nation, how they say in that allegiance. Let's come together and let's figure out what makes sense for all people. And we ain't got to stack the deck. You know what I'm saying? And that's how we move forward. That's what I feel about it.
Shaketa, where are you at on that topic?
The answer to the question of what are we fighting for? I can say I am fighting for my ancestral people and their humanity, right? To be recognized as equal human beings, as the colonizer, right? I think the rest of the world is joining in on our fight and picking up on our momentum because they're fighting against the hypocrisy of America. So I'm fighting for our humanity. I see my Chilean friends saying Black Lives Matter because they're fighting against the hypocrisy of our country. Like, how dare you? How dare you, America, come and tell us how to do things when you're still treating Black people the way that you do? And so I'm also fighting with them too to say, yes, how dare they put us back in our place? Because this is still a great place to live. We have built from nothing, but we have built, and we didn't get the credit deserved. And so I'm fighting for the humanity. I'm fighting for us to be recognized. You're going to hear me. You're going to see me. And you're going to respect me.
Lenny.
What are we fighting for? That's interesting. I think we are fighting for, or at least I feel and hope that we receive out of this, these current times, is the recognition of you cannot willy-nilly consistently put us in a place to start behind. You cannot do that and prosper. I feel that we're fighting to let the country know you have prospered off of the labor and the conditions you've created off of our and others' backs. But at least for us as Black people, I'm fighting for them to not be able to continue to do these things and prosper. I always say whenever they do something, it backfires so hard, and we're able to push I remember in the African American Museum down in Charlotte, or the section of the museum, and I remember the quote from the guy in South Carolina when they were doing the whole march and boycott. He said, "We started this thing, and all we wanted was one working bus, so that our kids ain't have to walk so far to school." And look what it turned into. So it's the same kind of thing. They sat at the lunch counter wanting to just be served like everyone else. But that steamroll, that thing that, they with the straw who broke that camel's back. This George Floyd to me is another situation where, oh, y'all tried to do this and, hold true to the blue line. However, look at all the things that are going to come from it. And so I think that I'm fighting for the all states and the AIGs and the state farms to have to sit down with community leaders to say, well, what are y'all going to do about your police force? What kind of things are we going to see? Are we going to see prosecutions? Because we can't keep paying for burning buildings, and we can't keep paying for riots or even have the risk. Insurance companies are in the risk game. And if this behavior continues, every city is at risk, whether there's us there or not. This is happening in Utah and Minneapolis and a bunch of places that we are not the favorite in numbers. So I'm fighting for them to recognize our contribution and to understand that our contribution doesn't continue to make them wealthy without some sort of return. So I think.
So here's a question to you all. As I've been thinking about this stuff and talking with different people, when you kind of look around the world at other areas where you have groups of people that have been marginalized, pushed aside for decades and centuries in some places. Anytime that you've seen a true, almost remaking of that place, it involved a significant amount of violence. I can't think of many new creations that have come in countries, in areas that were in dispute, that were solved at the boardroom table, that were solved in the courts, until there was a significant amount of violence, civil wars, hostile takeovers, that type of thing. So, my question for you guys, looking at America through that same, through that same lens, do you think that that's where it's headed? And not necessarily is that where it's headed, but to truly see a new thing, as Ms. Hale mentioned earlier, everywhere else that's been achieved, it was achieved with a significant amount of violence. Are we in that same place in this country? First person jump in, the mic is yours.
Yeah, I woke up this morning, literally this morning, today, and my first thought was, this could end in a civil war. My very first thought this morning, after I thank God that I woke up again, was we are actually in a time where this could actually be the beginning of a civil war. And after the initial "girl, you crazy," I started to think about it, and my brain is now all day been just in the back of my mind settling on this could happen. I'm not saying I want it. I'm not saying that it is the right answer, but Brother Morgan, you said it. These things don't come out of, okay, well, let's compromise, let's sit down at a table, because power is not going to give away their power. You got to take it, right? I'm going to leave it there.
Jeff, you got thoughts, brother?
Yes. I as the father of 5 children and 1 bonus child, man, I don't want to see this place erupt into a war zone. But as a human being, as the father of 5 children and 1 bonus child, I also don't want to see things to continue to be the way that they are. So I think that the only way that it's going to change is for shit to burn down. I mean, it's ugly as it may be. They don't pay attention until we start burning stuff down. You know, they don't pay attention until people start getting hurt. Like the governor of Minnesota, he claimed that Jay-Z called him, and that's what made him bring in the attorney general of the state to press charges on that guy, on that cop. But in real life, it was because all those buildings were burning down. It was because of all the so-called violence. I don't think it's necessarily violence. I think it's just disruption. I just haven't seen a lot of violence so far. So I don't think that we're quite there yet. Haven't seen a lot of people actually hurting each other. I mean, I guess they are, but for the most part, everybody's just burning down buildings. They're just showing that they're pissed off, you know? So I think that before it's all over with, though, we're going to start seeing a lot of violence because a lot of those people were complaining about being at home with the COVID because they wanted a haircut. They're going to really get pissed off when they can't come outside because your neighborhood's burning down. So it's going to start getting to the point where they're pissed off, we're pissed off, and it's going to be people getting hurt, you know? So, yeah, I think it's going to have to take a civil war in order for things to get that way. I don't want to see it, but I do believe that that's where it's going.
Sister Hale. That's a lot of head nodding over there.
I get compared a lot to Malcolm when I'm in the field working. And I don't think that that's actually an accurate representation of me. Even though I love all of our freedom fighters. Am I still here? Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Angela Davis actually said something where she was talking about how radical actually means to go at the root. And I feel like because we're pulling up a foundational issue, we're pulling up something that was built on top of a very bad, cracked foundation. That's what America was built off of, that it's going to take some hard tussle and violence in order to uproot it. But then we have to think about, like, is this really surprising to us that it may have to come to violence and not just civil disruptions or not just the bringing down of buildings and having to deal with insurance companies because the state has enacted violence on us for so many years. For so long, it's been legally sanctioned to be able to take healthcare away from people or to take jobs away from people that need it, to place them into these areas and starve them of resources. That's violence. That's what violence is. And so in order to take the power from people, there has to be some sort of violence that may even look like that in order to pull up that bad foundation that we have to deal with right now. I think we're getting there.
Before you can plant flowers, you got to cut down some trees.
Mm-hmm.
Brother Lenny, your thoughts?
My thoughts. So I agree with Brother Crosby. You know, having children, I don't want to see it turn into a war zone either. But the one thing I do believe about America and its history, whether it's, you know, black on black, white on white, or people versus people, America believes in the profit. And, you know, at the minimum, I'm hoping that it is seen, understood that there is no profit in trying to quash us. There is no, and there will be no continued way to keep profitizing off of us. So I think of it more of a humanitarian and financial war than I do a, you know, all out guns blazing. I think of it more of there is no profit in that behavior. And that's what I'm hoping to see. because America believes in the profit. You know, they will cut off their own over profit. So, and we, as a Black community, definitely help to stir the pot of the economy moving. And so I'm hoping that how that freedom is obtained is through it being not profitable to harm us.